Let's now focus on SMSFs, and super tax legislation is on the agenda for the government. Our next guest saying the government is determined to push through its controversial super tax legislation. Daniel Kirk is joining us from SONAS Wealth. Daniel, thanks for joining us. So this is all about individuals with total super balances exceeding $3 million. This is the controversial part. Will pay up to 15% additional tax on those earnings attributed. So where are we at as far as that legislation is concerned?
So look, it was kind of pushed back down, and it was looking like it wasn't going to come back up. Given that government really isn't coming back in till February next year, and we have an election coming up soon after that, it's very unsure whether they're going to push ahead with it and whether they'll have much support. It would be quite a risky move, but we could never say never. So obviously a lot of people would be impacted by this tax because it's essentially a tax on unrealized gains. So if you have a SMSF with very illiquid assets, it can be very difficult to kind of fund the tax because you have to sell down, and there may be time associated with that.
All right, so we look forward to next year to see where the government gets to as far as that legislation is concerned. Meanwhile, Daniel, there's also the issue of some barriers, I guess, SMSF members have had to exit legacy pensions. Where are we at with that?
Exactly. So proposed changes to the commutation of legacy pensions were given royal assent earlier this month. So what this essentially means is that any legacy pension holders will have a 5-year period in which they can commence a lifetime, life expectancy, or market-linked income stream that commenced before the 20th of September 2007. Right, so people may choose to put the pension amounts into cash, they may choose to put them into the accumulation account, or they may choose to start an account-based pension. So I think this will kind of put quite a few people's mind at ease who do have one of these legacy pensions. So it's been a long time coming to kind of get this provision put in place. So I think, yeah, it's a good thing to happen.
Now, more broadly, Daniel, a lot of focus on succession planning at the moment, particularly as the baby boomers start, they're already exiting the workforce and into retirement. And you're looking at that massive transfer of intergenerational wealth. So perhaps no surprise then that the demand for financial advice has increased quite substantially.
Look, it's quite amazing how much demand there is at the moment. So we have the so-called silver tsunami occurring, which is basically a lot of baby boomers who are retiring. We're already within that tsunami, so it's been happening for a few years now. And particularly with the changes that occurred in financial advice over the last few years, there's been a massive crunch on the number of financial advisors available. So we've had a halving from 30,000 down to 15,000 at the moment. So there's less people giving advice, more people needing it. We've got the insurance companies, super funds, and the banks. It's hard for them to give advice. So it's really been a massive supply and demand imbalance. So I think, the next few years will be interesting to see what happens. And hopefully we can kind of offer more advice to people on a larger scale.
Now, Daniel was talking about obviously the need for advice there and planning for those either in retirement, approaching retirement. What about at the other end, I guess, of the scale in terms of those young SMSF trustees and what they need to do in terms of estate planning?
Yeah, so they are probably not thinking about it, but they should at least have an enduring power of attorney in place. So if they do become ill or injured, they will be able to still carry on the SMSF. I know myself, when I set mine up a few years ago, that really wasn't on my mind. You're just kind of excited to get it set up and start investing and getting the ball rolling. So whilst this is something that may seem like it's kind of a thing that will happen in the future, you never really know what's around the corner. So it's important to kind of put the EPOA in place. And just in the event you do get ill or injured, you're not leaving your family having to kind of deal with the complexity of an SMSF. So this would assist the kind of transition over if you're sick or injured.